Which one's the best crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best? 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 What's the second best?
This is Discover Crypto. Every day on the channel, we teach you how to make money with digital assets. And we have a major show today. We got to talk about the best altcoins to position yourself for the best returns in Q4. What are those altcoins going to be? What are going to be the drivers for these altcoins? And is Bitcoin breaking out, about to start the Q4 bull rally that we have all been waiting for? And also, what is going on with Zcash? Is there going to be a $10,000 Ethereum? And we're seeing Near and Cardano partnering up. What is that going to look like for those two altcoins? I'm joined here by TJ. TJ's back. TJ, how are you doing?
I'm back. I'm doing good. I only missed one day, but yeah, I'm feeling good. Loving waking up to green every morning. Just fat green candles, going to bed, fat green candles when we wake up. I know Kelly and Drew already did the trading session live with our Discord members, so people just crushing it in there. People up in spot trades, people up in leverage trades and all that sort of stuff. If you guys aren't in there, the link is in the description. We give tons of free information. Obviously, we give you guys a lot free on the channel, but there's even more in the Discord. So hop in there, smash the like buttons if you're feeling good today. And yeah, we're going to be looking at all sorts of different stuff. Might even give a deep dive altcoin pick that we were talking about this morning that I'd never heard of before that looks actually sneaky good. Could be a dark horse for this bull run. But yeah, happy to be here.
All right. And yeah, see some altcoins being thrown out. Toss in some altcoins. We'll throw it in during our altcoin analysis. I already see people talking about Avalanche. Is that going to be a good level? Looking for our old chart because I think it is right at the zone. We were saying go check that out. Now let's talk. We'll talk about Chainlink. I have a novel theory on why Chainlink is maybe not doing so well. Let's look at the market today. So Bitcoin is up 2.2, as well as Ethereum. And we see BNB up 2.5%. So we're seeing all the majors gain, roughly an equivalent amount here. Then you see Chainlink lagging. I'll dive into, my theory on why this is. We see a nice pump from Sweet and Stellar as well. And Avalanche also pulling back a little bit. Looks like some good news from that being front ran. But if we look for the big gainers, obviously Zcash is what everybody's talking about here. It's now almost tripled. Essentially, I feel like this was $50 not that long ago. Now trading around $150. Aptos covered this one yesterday. Told you it was going to be a big pumper. Did not expect it to be the number 2 pumper, but Aptos is up almost 10%, as well as Aster and Crow. And TJ, what video was I working on this week for maybe a release later on?
The Crow video.
Crypto. It was the Crow video, man. It was the Crow video. Though we'll still put out a Crow video. Let us know in the comments if you hold some Crow, some Kronos ecosystem doing a lot over there. And Monero, people are like, hey, there's other privacy coins. I see Zcash has tripled. Let me play some bids in some of these other coins. And I think Monero, kind of piggybacking off the Zcash pump here. And we see Athena with a nice little pump. Before I go into the losers, anything you want to add, TJ?
Well, it's just, I'm looking at the chat. Everybody's in here. What about Tao? What about Sui, Ando? And it's just like, man, we're in that part of the cycle where it's hard. You get FOMO on every coin. There's so many good altcoins out there right now. Because I think Tao's a great project. I think it's going to continue to do well. I think it could be a top performer in this cycle. Or in this Q4, especially when
I'll take it a step further. I think a lot of the same people that hold Zcash also hold Tao.
Interesting.
Little Silicon Valley VC Cabal coin. Both of them.
Yeah, well, and there's the AI narrative to it. It is interesting seeing Zcash. I mean, we were even seeing Dash pump, a lot of these old 2017, 2018 or older coins. I was holding Zcash in a Gemini account from back in 2017. Now, I probably bought it at higher than it is now still, like even back in 2017, I think it was $200-300K. So, I mean, $200 or $300 for one Zcash. So, but it is officially alt season. If we look at just real quick, if we pull up my screen, you see this altcoin index up here. 67 out of the top 100 coins have outperformed Bitcoin in the last 90 days. So, when we get into this full blue zone up here, Obviously, that's when we're pushing almost all of the top 100. I like to look at more. Yeah, here's Zcash, Dash, Zora still doing well, Synthetics, Eigen. There's all sorts of high performing altcoins right now. So this is the alt season you were promised. I hope you guys have been listening and positioning. I hope your coins are doing well. There's a lot out there. I know, DZ, we were talking this morning, you're going to cover in tonight's video and in some of this stream. Revenue really matters. That's something we've talked about a lot on this channel. I do think the market has come a long way since 2017, 2021, in the sense that there are so many good projects out there. And the ones that have revenue are going to be the ones you really need to pay attention to, the ones that have strong fundamentals. There will always be random pumps that seem like they come out of nowhere for no reason. This meme coin that has absolutely no substance to it will absolutely send and probably make the dumbest person way richer than you. That is what happens in crypto. But I do think more sophisticated investors are coming in. Wall Street is coming in, institutions, and they like to see things that they think will last more than just 2 or 3 months. They're looking for things that they think are going to be around for years and have a strong moat and strong fundamentals behind them. And that's what I'm drawn to. That's the stuff that I like. I know we're going to look at Chainlink. That's one of those ones that has a very strong moat, very strong fundamentals, and it requires patience. This is not something people get frustrated when it hasn't pumped as much as something random, but I do think it's going to be around for a while. And the smart crypto investor looks at revenue, looks at market cap, looks at the inflation rate, and that's why we come here every day and try to help you guys pick those out, because it's getting harder. I would say it's harder to invest in crypto today, much harder than it was definitely in 2017, and even harder than it was in 2021. So
yeah, and to that point, it is a harder cycle to perform, to outperform. And to that note, I would just quote Shia LaBeouf. Some say I'm the balding Shia LaBeouf. It's the first time I've heard that one, but I would paraphrase him and just say, just do it. Lock in, just do it. Maybe you don't have to scream and flex, neck veins bulging, but just do it, folks. Nike said it best here.
Well, last thing I'll say, and I'll let you get into the news, but we were talking about this in the Discord this morning. One of our members, he had an old coin that was just up like thousands of % out of nowhere. He had totally forgotten about it. And he was saying he loved, like my phrase, just do things in crypto. Just do stuff and you'll make money. He said I've been here for 10 years and I couldn't encapsulate it better. The more you just take action on your conviction, right or wrong. Like I know people that stumbled into Bored Apes, by accident. They just thought they were cool and they bought them when they were 0.3 ETH, and boom, it was life changing for them. And then so many, stumbled into the right meme coin, you traded on the right DEX and got airdropped, something very substantial, so there's all sorts of ways to make life changing money in crypto. But in order for you to get that, you have to be doing things, not just watching, not just reading, but actually trading, buying, selling, staking.
Click the buttons, folks.
Yes.
You gotta click the buttons. That's what it boils down to. And I tell you who's been clicking buttons lately. Cryptos R Us. Have you seen George's coin? He is all in on Clash of the Clans content, TJ, and his coin, it hit over 20 million market cap. He's really captured the Clash of Clans community. And he's kind of like the figurehead of tapping on your phone and sending in the giants and the archers and the warriors. He's doing all the things there. I'm all about the wizards. I haven't played that game in, I feel like, a decade at this point. Huge fan back in the day, though. Let's look at it. I'm not a big fan of red coins. However, MYX Finance, that token is down 20%. Plasma down 10%. Am going to open, we have a little exposure. We jumped in, had a moonshot. Remember, low leverage. I screamed it at you 20 times yesterday, 3x. I had a moonshot entry point, 85.2 cents. It triggered. And you can see it right. It wicked like on the candles there. You don't see it right here, but it did trigger. So I'm in a nice profitable long, have closed a lot of it, but then have just re-entered a little bit. So my average entry point, probably somewhere around there. So we are in a little bit of a trade. Just want to throw that on the radar there. Look at the other quick losers, and we'll get into the winners here. We have Pi's down, Meme Core is down, and AVAX is down. But AVAX, we're going to cover the AVAX news. Big news with digital asset treasury. But let's talk real quick. Let's kind of theorize why things are pumping. Maybe give you a little bit of a, Let's temper those thoughts, and then we'll go into the best altcoins. Stick around. We're going to tell you the template for the best altcoins for Q4. So why are we pumping? We have a couple theories. Number one, we have the BNB founder turning into the Aster intern. Some say pumped up CZ is pumping up the markets. Do you agree with that theories thus far?
Yeah, man. I mean, he's the GOAT. You know, nobody knows how to pump markets better than him. Nobody knows trading better than him. I mean, he called the bottom too. I mean, he tweeted a couple of days ago, right before this huge run up, like, "Hey, this is a good time to buy." I've always been a CZ fan as long as I've been in crypto. Can't fade what they've done with Binance, and can't fade. He's just print
diamond hands. He diamond handed BNB from 10 cents to $1,000, and he could have dumped on his community. Didn't really dump on the community. Applaud him for that, folks. Other people are going to say the reason we are pumping Tether print in the wee hours, $2 billion of Tether was minted on Ethereum. Typically, don't see two bills. You don't see two clipped in at once. We also have seen a lot of like 100 million here, 400 million here. So 2 billion, very significant when it comes to extra capital flown into the market. We also got people potentially front running Q4. Q4 historically is the good quarter, especially post halving years. 2021, we kind of front ran that pump and also started to dump a little bit in December from the November high. So 2021 is a little bit muted there. But if you look at 2017, 226% pump. We also had a 468% pump in 2013. So maybe people are trying to just get ahead of the curve when it comes to that. Also, we have just technical targets. Caleb Franzen pointing this out. AVWAP, it's not a rap song. It's anchored volume, weighted average price. And so just kind of looking at some very technical support. We have made higher lows. We have two higher highs. What is missing, according to Caleb Franzen? New all-time highs. I think he just put out a pretty big prediction. We're going to see that fairly soon. And we have JP Morgan saying Bitcoin has to catch up with gold. Undervalued versus gold, significant upside to $165,000. You're seeing a lot of people post these charts right here. Let's zoom in on this a little bit. Whoa, not that much. Not that much. You can see gold goes on a nice run. Bitcoin will follow. Gold, nice run. Bitcoin will follow. This has been the GigaSend all-time run for gold. We've never seen anything this bullish in decades. Now some are assuming we're going to see something similar happen to Bitcoin. Before I move forward, TJ, what are your thoughts on gold front run narrative? I mean, can it be that simple?
I think it is a lot of times. I think a lot of times, especially with investing in general, but specifically Bitcoin, people like to overcomplicate it. They like to overthink it. I mean, we do that from time to time. We come in here every single day. So like sometimes you have a tendency to overthink it. But yeah, when the M2 money supply is running away, gold is going to go up. Fixed assets go up. When gold runs up like this, Bitcoin almost always follows on a not too long. Gold runs up and then it pauses and Bitcoin runs. I think we covered this last week. We said we think gold could be chilling around 4,000 and Bitcoin comes and closes that gap very, very, very quickly. And yeah, I think that's absolutely what we're going to see. Usually when you see gold running, that's some of the whales of the world, the most sophisticated, wealthiest investors positioning for basically government uncertainty. And we're sitting with the US government shut down right now. So all the more reason to see gold go up, all the more reason to see Bitcoin go up. So yeah, I think that's the other part that gets me is we haven't even got into the printing. The big print hasn't even started yet. Big print's coming next year. And as soon as the government opens back up, that's when they're going to really kick those printers on. And I think we're just going to see, I mean, there's still people out there calling for crazy 444 Bitcoin by November 8th. Now I'm not making that prediction. I've been in that 200K camp for a long time. But yeah, if you look at what gold's done and consider how much larger the market cap of gold is and how much more money it takes going into gold to make that move compared to Bitcoin, it's a fraction. It's a fraction of what's going into gold would make Bitcoin absolutely sense. So I think, yeah, the best is yet to come. Buckle up. I mean, this what we got day 1, day 2 of October is just a taste. But the M2 money supply and gold, yes, is often foreshadowing for what's to come. Also, just want to say several thousand people watching right now, only 200 likes. If you could, it'd be a huge favor. Just stop what you're doing real quick. Hit that like button. Sometimes if you're on mobile, you have to X out of the live chat to find the like button and then jump right back in. Makes a really, really, really big difference for us.
And if you're in the shop right now, hit the like button before you turn on your exhaust fan. Okay. You could remember, just get low, army crawl to that computer screen, hit that like button. All right. That's what I'm recommending, at least. I think TJ gives his endorsement on that as well. I did want to cover a couple things. Gold, depending on how you interpret it, I do like that theory. It's a pretty interesting theory there. Just buy gold and silver using Coinbase. All right. Buy some metal, get some crypto rewards. We love seeing that, folks, as well. Have not seen Peacemaker, but I can't see John Cena every time I try to look at him. So that's a John Cena show on Max. All right, let's temper the expectation. So I build you up. Maybe maybe that's design. Maybe it's designed to get you all euphoric, get you all happy, and then the reckoning is going to come. Sorry, this is from charts here. I'm not even going to try to say that. Sorry, I can't be bullish with this left under the price on the first day of Q4, signaling a lot of liquidity below us that could potentially drag Bitcoin down to liquidate these longs before we then begin that next run up. And Ben Cowan, scary prediction, Q4 is ending. It's going to be the cycle top. We are not going to see a Q1 26 pump, Q2. While August was red, September was green. August marked local top, September local bottom. This happens time and time again. Then Bitcoin usually goes up in Q4 and to the cycle top. So I think cycle top before end of year. What do you think of Ben Cowan's prediction?
I mean,
Q4, it's over.
That's 4-year cycle theory. I'm curious, where's that first one? What's the date on that? How far back is that going? That first one, there's 2 arrows all the way to the left. The first prediction he's making there.
Let's see here. I tried to open in the new tab. Didn't want to do it for me here. Let's try it like this way. There we go. This is 2013.
So it does go all the way back to the beginning. Yeah, I again, 4-year cycle. I can't fault anybody for sticking to the 4-year cycle theory. That has been what has happened almost every cycle up to this point. And until something different happens, you can't. Logic would say follow the data. He's a data-based investor. That's his whole thing. So I'm not going to fault that at all. Like, we've been talking about that for years too. The top should be in November of this year. That should be the top of the cycle. And that's more or less what he's saying is we're nearing it. We're within, I would say, 30 to 45 days of the cycle top. That being said, I really do believe we're going to see an insane amount of money printing next year. So the counter argument, what he's kind of responding to there, or why he's putting that out there, is there's a lot of people out there saying right now that it's much more about the debt in the business cycle than it is the halving cycle. And when they print gazillions of US dollars all around the world and everything else, not just the US, I mean, every central bank is increasing the money supply right now. And when that happens, assets are going to send, especially fixed assets. And, and I would argue gold could be one of those indicators. The fact that gold has gone so vertical, gold goes up and has continued to go up, but it hasn't really gone up as violently in 21 and in 2017 as it has in 2025. So that's the kind of the 2 trains of thought is you've got the 4-year cycle theory of, you're tracking from the halvings and, we went up in 21, we go up in 25, the theory would say just like 2022 was down, 2026 will be down, 2027 will be sideways, 2028 will be a slow grind up, and 2029 we do this all over again. That is the traditional 4-year cycle theory. And I don't think there's anything wrong with using that theory. And that's basically why I do believe I'm probably exiting, probably all of my altcoins at what would be traditional 4-year cycle top, November-ish of this year. Maybe I hold it a little bit longer, but that's my plan right now. I'll let you guys know if it changes, but I'm planning to move everything back into Bitcoin towards the end of this year. I'm okay with stomaching a 50% drop. I don't, say we get to 150, 180, 200 Bitcoin and it goes all the way back down to 100K. That doesn't bother me if I'm all in Bitcoin. I'm in the frame of mind now where I'm not trying to swing my whole portfolio in and out. Like, I might still have a trading bag that I do that with. I still have cash on the sidelines. If it does go back down more, I'll accumulate more. But the altcoins is where you really get crushed when things are going down after, if Bitcoin goes down 50%, your altcoins are going down 80% plus most of the time. So
all right, let's talk about some good altcoins real quick, because I do want to cover this $2 super chat. Have you looked at George Clash Token? We just covered it at the beginning of the show. I actually said, yeah, it's like 25 million. It was 26 million. I remember looking at it, and that means it was right here, this 26. These are 15-minute candles. So I looked at it at some point in this 30-minute window a couple hours ago, and it is now $48 million market cap. It was a $46 million market cap when I first looked at it, and it was probably a $40 million market cap when the guy made the post right there. And so George's token, if you jumped in like a week ago, it looks a little bit better than it is. But I mean, yeah, you're looking at a 6x right there. If you jumped in early, yeah, you were way up. You're up like 100x there. So congrats, George. George is secret Clash Titan. He's a Titan in the Clash.
So
world,
what's the story with it? Is it like he
streams? He streams it. He streams Clash. Thing? It's on Pump, but yeah, it's I would say it's beyond that. It's he's tied into the Clash community for sure.
Interesting.
So I wouldn't give this. I wouldn't even say it's a Pump.fun narrative here. This is a Clash Royale narrative. 100%.
But he does play it on Pump Fun, right? Or is he playing it on his normal?
Yeah. But he has like an alt account. He's like posting more on that account than his original account. Wow. His original account, you can just tell, is like a writer or AI, and he's like. Yeah. He's found his love for crypto again.
I bet.
I would say it's the tokens prices maybe related to his enthusiasm.
Hey, I mean, prices pump, people get excited. That's why we're here. There's nothing wrong with that.
All right. So, big shout out to George, Cryptos R Us, friend of the channel for sure. All right, let's talk about Bitcoin. One last thing I want to share here. Then we're going to go into the best altcoins for your portfolio. It's Clash. It's Clash, evidently. All right. Bitcoin hitting 120 nearly, but RSI warning that a price pullback is next. So I just want to look at this RSI. It's gained almost 10% over the past week as the bulls stage a comeback, echoing the upside in gold that we were just referring to. Market participants nonetheless see the rally cooling before continuation. This is due to price indicators becoming overheated. We also saw a lot of liquidity down below us. Among the evidence supporting this move is RSI firmly in the overbought territory, the highest 4-hour RSI since July. So let's go back into the DeLorean. Let's check this out here. They do talk about ETFs, kind of picking up. I want to go into the charts here. This is the 4-hour RSI. You can see it is overheated. Let's do what we like to do here. Throw down the horizontal line. We're going to back test this. Ended up working great for this period. So, this is kind of why I'm employing the strategy. I'm not saying it's going to do the exact same thing every single time. But we did use this RSI 4-hour strategy right here. We saw, all right, every time it's this low, you'll get a little bull div. It'll go up and to the right. That's exactly what happened. So let's back test this. Now, they say July. It is July. You can see it right here. So let's go back the price action, what happened right then. If you sold kind of where we're at right now, which is it first peaks into overheated territory, is hitting that turquoise line right there. So if you jumped out right here, that's literally this candle. You would miss that candle. You'd miss that candle. You'd miss this candle. Then you'd get your consolidation. And guess what? You're kind of getting a little bit of, weakening in the RSI. Dump everything. You then miss out on that last pump right there. And so let's just go ahead and, we won't be super bullish. We're not going to come in at the bottom of this candle. We'll measure from the wick. From the wick. Still would pump an extra, 116 to 122. Still pump an extra $6,000. So let's add 6,000 to today's price. What are we looking at here? 6,000. 124. I mean, you're basically flirting with those new all-time highs. You're like right there on the cusp, TJ. So that's what, if you sell now, you might end up missing out on that little extra bit of that leg up.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're in that part of the cycle where, obviously, they do a lot of the leverage trading stuff in the Discord, but we're in that part of the cycle where the trend is your friend, and we're most likely going up. I do see there's a lot of liquidity down there, like you mentioned earlier in the show, around that. I think it's around that 110 level. So you can't completely rule out a pullback to wipe those out, but I do think people are watching liquidity levels now more today than they ever have in the past. And a lot of times, big traders can use that to fake you out. So I do think we get to all-time highs sooner rather than later, and then get into that price discovery. And then the question is, how high will it go from there? 150, 180, 200, and how quickly can it happen? That's the question I had. I saw somebody asking about all-time.
I'm not to cut you off. Take profits. If you're up 100x, take profits on this Clash token. Don't worry about if you hold 1,000, you might win a raffle. A raffle's going to pump this token. In the short term, take profits if you're up 100x. I'm sorry, if you're up 100x on Clash, take profits.
And
Take profits.
on anything. If you're ever up 100x on any token, that's a good time to sell.
George isn't taking it to the grave. He's probably sold a lot today. He probably sold a lot yesterday. And I'm not trying to FUD, but he probably,
Well, yeah, and regardless, it doesn't really matter if you're up 100x. I don't care if it's Bitcoin. I mean, well, maybe not Bitcoin, but basically anything other than Bitcoin. I don't care what the coin is out there. If you turned $1,000 into $100,000, take 50K off the table.
Yeah, he might have turned. Yeah, if you turn 500 into 50K,
yeah, I know people that made millions of dollars on Whiff and didn't take enough profit and just slowly gave it back and gave it back and gave it back, and then now they have nothing to show for it. And that is the crypto horror story, and that is what you want to be careful of. It's one of my favorite phrases in investing is pigs get fattened, hogs get slaughtered. If you're up 100x and you want more, you're being a hog. You want to be a pig, not a hog. If you're up 20x and you're holding out for the 30 or the 40 or the 50, that's fine. But if you're up 100x and you're not taking any profits, this may not be the space for you.
I'm not home. I'm in the. Thank you for warning me that someone's at the window. It's not a Thomas Crooks situation here.
That's Drew walking around back there on the phone.
Well, then it might be a Thomas Crooks situation. Oh my God. No, we're talking about theoretically, of course. All right, let's talk about altcoins, everybody. He's here to shoot us some alpha. He's here to give us the alpha.
Oh, God. All right, now everybody has to hit the like button.
Now you have to hit. YouTube overlords are already.
They already don't like us. Yeah, they already don't like us.
All right, so let's talk about DeFi. This is the metric I'm going to be using for tonight's video, but we're going to go a little bit further down. With the video, I don't want to go like this is the 50th coin in revenue, but I think it'd be a good discussion for me and TJ to have. So we're going to use revenue as a driver for good altcoins for Q4. That's tonight's video. We're going to cover some of the majors here, but the way to find that, you would go to metrics, and then underneath that, you're going to see revenue by protocol. Click on revenue by protocol. So we're going to cover the usual suspects. I'm not going to talk about Tether. I'm not going to talk about Circle. EdgeX, we already covered that. No token. Probably not going to cover Tron. It's a large L1. But let's talk about Hype. We're going to talk about Pump. I got to throw in Arrow. I know there's a lot of people holding Arrow. Not going to talk about Phantom, Coinbase Wallet, but we will talk about Jupe. But let's go below this range. Let's go maybe even below Aave and Pancake. Now we're starting to look at some deep, deep cuts, and you can click on these and see their revenue. Athena, Uniswap, Black Hole, Solana, Ondo. Let's just stop there, TJ. On this page that I have highlighted, what is a good altcoin with strong revenue that you think, eventually the market has to catch up? They're making actual money.
Well, there's a few on there. I mean, Athena obviously is making good money. Black Hole is making good money. That's one that we're participating in. That's what's cool about the DEX is you can participate in that revenue. So some of that revenue that Black Hole's making, I'm getting some of that, or not this actual number, but I'm participating in the revenue share. That's what I love about Aerodrome as well. Ondo, obviously a big one there. Base, the way you can interact with, that's part of why I like Aerodrome is I'm expecting, and Coinbase has said that they're exploring a network token. You see Base's revenue. They're producing plenty of revenue. I believe they're going to be doing an airdrop. And if they do, we're getting a fat bag because we've basically been all over the Base ecosystem, just running pools and, buying Arrow, using Morpho, Kita, Mamo, all kinds of different stuff. Virtuals is another one that's a sneaky pick now that they're getting some revenue. Obviously, a lot of people, it had a huge pump when the AI trend came again. I don't know where the chart's at today, but I think I was looking at it a couple days ago. I'm thinking, man, we should probably be accumulating some virtuals right now before it pops. I hold Radium. I see it right there. So yeah, I've got a portion of my portfolio that's very dedicated towards DeFi, whether that's Jupiter, Radium, Aerodrome, Curve. ETH DeFi, Solana DeFi, and Base DeFi are kind of where I'm a significant portion of my portfolio is outside of kind of the majors, Bitcoin and kind of other layer ones. So, but yes, this right here, DeFi Llama, if you guys aren't using this as a tool to do research, this one website can change the way you perform in this market. And I mean, EtherFi, even not a bad one. There's plenty, almost everything on there.
So I tell you what I'm going to do, folks. We're going to do some math equations where there's some, forward-looking, I would say, analytic algorithms that they'll do on Wall Street. They'll look at things, they'll look at sales, they'll look at revenue, that they can get some kind of, sort of ratios established there. I'm going to establish essentially market cap to revenue ratios. It's similar to what you see with the earnings to sales ratios that you'll see. You also see profit to earnings. So you'll see basically like how many dollars are you willing to pay to make $1? And so I'm going to look at the revenue, probably going to do 7-day. I don't want to just shortcut look at annual revenue. Let's look at the 7-day revenue. How is it done in the last 7 days? Let's multiply that by 52. Let's use that as a forward gauge for what this is, the forward-looking 52-week revenue. And then we're going to, divide the market cap by this number, and then you'll find your premium. We're going to be looking at some things. People are going to be paying $500 to make $1, depending on some of these market caps. So I'm going to be using this math to determine, of these top projects, the ones that we're listing, where do you think is the best place to park your dollars? So turn on those notifications. I'm going to be doing the deep dive research. We're going to be putting on that old accountant hat. That's right. I dropped out of accounting school so I could give you the best crypto knowledge. And also, I didn't want to be a CPA. It just was not going to be for me. I had to get away from AI taking my job. I was a little ahead of the curve, a little too early. Probably should have just finished the degree, but here we are. And so turn on those notifications, folks.
College is a scam.
It is, isn't it? That's
another
it's
stream.
a loaded theory. It's a loaded theory there. All right. Now, this is, speaking of revenue, this is an interesting post that kind of went viral from Credible. I think he's a couple, almost 500,000 there. I am a coin created 2018, 90% below prior all-time high in 2021. Cap supply, fully circulating. I generate more revenue than most better-known projects. I pass 100% of the yield I generate to the stakers node operators, and around 20% of my total supply currently staked, earning this yield. Who am I? This went crazy. A lot of people had incorrect guesses. People are saying quant, people saying curve. Some of these, he's like, well, I like that one. I have high conviction. No, it wasn't any of these. OriginTrail. So might have to look into this one. Did you have time to, figure out what your thoughts are on OriginTrail here?
I put this in the Discord. I am going to be doing a deeper dive on this. I mean, here's the all-time charts. It had a nice pump in 2021. Looks like it came out in the bear market, which I love coins that launch in a bear market. It came out in 2019, 2020, pumped all the way up to $2 in 21. I think he said he was targeting it for around double digits, like $10 plus. Those metrics he put out there is enough to really get my attention. I mean, obviously in the last week, it's seen, some.
Hey, he said it made as much as near protocol at 1/20th the market cap.
Exactly. And so when you start that's to the point you were just making about running those numbers. If you take the revenue plus the market cap, I think it's an extremely strong project. I'm looking more into the use case. I know it has the AI tie-in. I haven't gone deep into it yet. I think it's actually worth doing a video on this, like a deep dive video, because I think this is one I'll be building a position in, most likely just based on those metrics. I mean, it's pretty rare today for a lot of these altcoins to have a capped supply. A lot of them nowadays don't have a capped supply. It was very common early in crypto. We talk about this a lot. The only ones in the top 10, Bitcoin, Cardano, XRP, have actually a capped supply. Solana, Ethereum, many others have an infinite supply. Now what the emission rate is going to be, so you can kind of calculate, but it requires more and more and more capital going in at all times. This does not, and it does do exactly what I was talking about, where revenue. This might be one where I look into what it takes to run a node. If the revenue is going back to node holders and node runners, 100% of it, that's stuff I like to see. Kind of like when you lock up your aerodrome, you get a big portion of the revenue. So I might buy some of this token. I'm sure you have to hold a significant amount to run a node. You might want to do that before it gets too expensive to do. So yeah, we're going to probably do a deep dive on OriginTrail track here pretty soon.
Yeah, I'm trying to find, you can't actually find Origin track. So yeah, might have to dig a little bit deeper there.
I've got Origin. It's on CoinMarketCap, TRAC.
I'm on DeFi Llama.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
So, all right. So a little bit harder to explore and do the detective work there. So maybe a little bit more opportunity there. All right, let's talk about some other altcoins here. Obviously, we got to talk about Ethereum, a bull flag targeting $10,000. We don't trust, we verify. So what are they looking at here? They're looking at weekly candles, and they're coming in from the June bottom. So we go here, we go to the weekly candles, we see the June bottom. We want to make sure that we're not using a log chart. Who knows how they're getting their Fugazi math here? And this is essentially how it will work. You'll see sometimes it's a little parallel channel. Either way, it has to slope downward, or it has to be an acute angle, I guess would be a more technical way of saying it. And then you would essentially run the flagpole from the breakout, and it's going to give you your target. You can just hit clone, make sure you have the same size. Trying to highlight it. There we go. $10,000, $7,000 here. I think what they're doing is they're being a little bit shady. They're being a little bit shady, folks, using the log chart. You know, we don't like using the log chart. And by that metric, yeah, sure, $10,000. I would say the $7,000 target, though, a lot more likely, especially on large weekly time frames.
I think our range is around 8K is what we called. So yeah, 7 to 10. 10 is I would say, do you kind of give it like 7 is or 8's the base case, 10 is the absolute bullish. Like, sure, it could happen, but I'm looking for an $8,000 Ethereum, which some people would say is a disappointment, but I'd be very happy with an $8,000 Ethereum.
Oh yeah. And that might only be 7,200, but yeah, still very, very good pump. Let's talk about Zcash. What the heck's going on with Zcash here? It's up 140%. Why is this privacy coin outperforming Bitcoin? Well, the question in a lot of traders' mind is what has fueled the sudden explosion and whether it signals long-term revival for this coin. The main catalyst is this right here, Grayscale's Zcash Trust. They launched the Zcash Trust, which provides accredited investors regulated exposure on Zcash. Now, looking at the chart, this thing is pumped, man. This thing is pumped. You can see this on the daily chart. You can see this on the 4-hour chart. Let's zoom out, though. Fair chance you're down if you bought last bull run. In fact, high odds that you are going to be down if you bought last bull run there. So, a lot of investors maybe not quite in the profit zone, but anytime from this period right here, from the sideways hell, you are definitely looking very good there. Now, Zcash, this is the Grayscale post, similar to Bitcoin in its design, very similar tokenomics. It was created from the original Bitcoin code base, but uses privacy technology that encrypts transaction information and allows users to shield their assets. So I could send you some Zcash while hiding my balance of Zcash, so you can't tell if I send all my Zcash or from a Zcash whale there. Now, doing a little bit more deep dive here, Zcash Grayscale Trust actually has crushed it lately. They're now up to $46 million in 24 hours. If you're wondering, well, how does that fare compared to the other ones? Sorting by the assets under management, it is essentially beaten Chainlink in one single day. Now, I don't have any indications of this. I haven't seen any order books. People at the start of the show, what are your thoughts on Chainlink? Why isn't Chainlink pumping? I think there's a non-zero chance. Some people, all right, well, let me roll my Chainlink trust into this new thing that just happened. That could be a potential, movement of some whale activity there. Zcash Trust, I mean, it's already half of Solana's trust. So good job, Zcash. Other people are going to point, well, this is a bad sign. This is actually what I was saying to TJ early this morning. And then I saw the post that validated my opinion. People shilling Zcash, not knowing that we go through this every GD cycle when everything else is pumped. People go, oh, Zcash hasn't pumped and it's really cool. And then we all freaking die. Can we not do this again this time, please? No, I'm being told this time's different, though.
Yeah, it's always different. But yeah, it is true. It's, seeing Dash pump. We were talking about that. Oh, no, the Dino coins are all moving. That's not usually a good sign. That could mean we're towards the end of the cycle, which, again, if we come to bring it full circle, like Benjamin Cowan was talking about at the top of the show, we could be in the season where you've got about 30 to 45 days left. I did see this super chat here. Can we expect a 4 to 5x on alts in the top 50 range?
I'd say that's very fair. That gives you that $100 chain link. Some of the larger ones, I don't know if XRP and Solana can do that.
Or like Ethereum,
generally speaking. Yeah, and ETH. Generally speaking, though, I say that is pretty good, especially 10 to 50.
Yeah, exactly. 10 to 50, I think we can absolutely see 4 to 5. That's about what I'm expecting for a lot of those different things. And I saw music tags here with the tongue in cheek. I'm guessing 8,000 by Valentine's Day. And if you know, you know.
Fair. Crap on the log charts, but then dedicating a video using 1 week to guess the next 52. I think using the last 7 days is probably the best estimate for the forward-looking 52. I don't know a different way of coming up with this equation of the profit to sales earnings ratio there. So
Well, and you got to remember, guys, we are speculating. We are all speculators. And what does speculating mean? It's basically an educated guess. What we're doing is we're taking in the data that we believe is the most useful, and we're making an investment decision based on that. And I agree. I hate it when people get a 24-hour revenue and say, oh man, Pump Fund made this in 24-hour fees. Now, if you extrapolate that over the next 5 years, they're going to be making billions of dollars. And it's like, okay, well, what happened about, when their revenue dropped 90% for 3 months, So
I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll do for you. I will, I'll look at the last aberrations in volume or revenue, then I'll comment on that. So just so we have good, accurate information. It's just the best way I can come up with a market cap to revenue ratio. So
yeah,
I'm open to different ideas, different algorithms that you want to throw my way here. Old Money just learned Zcash and Monero is better than a bank in Switzerland. Yeah, Zcash is definitely going to be a privacy token that some say is better than Monero. I did a little bit of research on Zcash this morning just to kind of refresh my memory. Monero uses something called the decoy system, and where to hide a Monero transaction, it'll create a bunch of decoy transactions, and you try to hide amongst the decoys there. There have been criticisms of that in the past where smart AI, the new tools in AI, can essentially filter out the decoys. There's proof of that. Japanese investigators have used Monero to find criminals. They've actually backtracked their addresses, found the criminals. So, I mean, criminals have been caught using Monero, and Zcash isn't actually privacy by default. You have to opt in on that. And so I think since it's non-privacy by default, also I think there is backdoor for intelligence agencies, but now we're really getting off the weeds here.
I'm really glad you said that because that's a good point. A lot of people assume, hey, if I'm using Zcash, everything I do is private, but you do have to opt into that, and sometimes that's not completely clear. I do think, I'll pull it up while you're doing the next story. I do think there's something recent with they're trying to somehow make more privacy for Bitcoin using Zcash, and that could be part of this. But obviously, Barry Silbert's been a big fan of Zcash for a very long time. That's where the Grayscale Trust, Barry Silbert's behind Grayscale. So it's somewhat of a, I don't know.
Naval Ravikant has been bull posting like he's a trencher in an NFT Discord.
And they started some significant advertising, I'd say 6 or so months ago. They just sponsored Gainsey not that long ago. So, good job.
What do you think of the statement Zcash loves to use? Satoshi can't use Bitcoin. Have you heard that?
I haven't heard that.
I got it up on the screen right here. Satoshi owns around 1 million Bitcoin, but he can't use them. Why can't Satoshi use Bitcoin? Because every Bitcoin transaction is public. The moment he moves a coin, the whole world knows. That's the paradox of Bitcoin: scarcity without privacy.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I'd say that's a stretch for marketing purposes, but okay. I think he can't.
I said he's bull posting like an NFT trencher.
Yeah, he is. I'd say he can't use Satoshi. Can't move that Bitcoin because he's dead. Or it's dead, or what is Satoshi is no longer around. So
all right, let's speculate the red candle, the 24-hour red candle. Satoshi moves Bitcoin in the Satoshi wallet. Are we looking at a 90% dump, 9% dump, somewhere in the middle?
In the middle. I don't think it's the further away it gets and the higher the market cap of Bitcoin gets, the more distributed it gets, the less it matters. Obviously, it would matter. 1 million Bitcoin is a lot. But I think, we've got institutions now trying to get to 1 million Bitcoin. That supposedly governments wanting to get there. So it would definitely have an impact. It would definitely probably be the most substantial thing to happen in Bitcoin since Satoshi. But no, I don't think it would. We're not crashing 50% overnight. Maybe 20, 30. It depends on when it is. If we're already on a bear trend, if say it's next year, things are going down, Satoshi wallet moves, then potentially you could see a 30% 24-hour correction, 40% maybe.
Best Satoshi theory I've seen all day. Trump is Satoshi.
Gosh. No,
he said his grandpa or uncle was a nuclear physicist. So he said he has good genes. He has good genes there. Good genes. I heard that was a bad ad is what they're teaching at college campuses, which is, I don't know if that's true or not, but that was obviously a very successful ad by all metrics there. But if I don't like it, it's a bad ad. All right, let's talk about Avalanche, everybody. Avalanche with some major news here. Avalanche going public. They're going to have a digital asset treasury deal. What are the details here? So it's a $675 million deal. They're teaming up with Mountain Lake Acquisition Corp, and they want a $1 billion treasury eventually. Now, this is backed by a backroom deal. That cigar smoke-filled room with the Avalanche Foundation is beginning with $200 million in discounted tokens from the Avalanche Foundation, and they plan to list early 2026. What kind of discount are we talking about here? Well, they're going to launch with about $460 million in treasury assets with a discount entry point of 0.77 times net asset value, essentially a 23% markdown. So if Avalanche was trading at, let's just say, $33, you're looking at a third. So they're going to get it like $8 off. So they're getting like a $33 Avalanche for like $25, basically a quarter of it on sale there. So that's a little Avalanche news. Maybe that's why Avalanche ran up insanely last week and why we see it flat today, despite this good news. Probably front ran by insiders, if I had to speculate. People talking about Chainlink all stream here. Slow, just calm down, folks. This is the highest quarterly close since July 2021. I do think better days are coming for Chainlink. You know, people are saying, oh, it can't even crack 30, and you're saying it's going straight to 100. Yes, I am. I feel like people are probably saying something similar here. This is a log chart. This might only be like $5, and it went from like five to 100. Let's actually look here. TJ Trade and View, Chainlink quarterly. It was definitely on a log chart. We have to hit this thing. Hardly ever do this one here.
Yeah, I think it was like
3 month.
I think it was, if I don't know what date you're looking at, but I think it was around $10 and ran up to like 30. I know. Yeah. So like, I mean, it's done extremely well this year for anybody that's complaining. But I do believe. I mean, obviously,
I said that was $5. It was $2.
$2. Wow. And where did it cap out?
55.
Yeah.
It wicked up to 55. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think people just are impatient. And that's one thing I see in this market all the time is the guys were investors. And another good quote is, you know, the best investors are very good at doing nothing for long periods of time. And this market, retail especially, is always clamoring for overnight gains, and that's not the way it works. I mean, especially with the better projects, Bitcoin, Chainlink, Bitcoin went from 16K, now we're sitting close to 120K, and people still complain that they say I can't get rich with Bitcoin. It's like, yes, you can if you have patience. So I just want to, and that kind of reminds me about one of our partners, Bitcoin IRA. It's a tax advantaged system. You can hold and trade. You can day trade your account tax free in your IRA. Bitcoin IRA has been a partner of the channel here. They've got funding bonuses going on right now. If you roll something over, you get free money. So the link is in the description. Go ahead and check them out. But you need to be playing the long game in crypto, not just a 1 year, 2 year, 4 year. I mean, it's great to trade and make money in the 4-year cycle, but realistically, this is the best way to set yourself up for retirement. If you're investing in a 401k, I promise you, if you just put the same amount you're putting in your 401k into a Bitcoin fund, you're going to outperform and you're going to be able to retire earlier. I know tons of people that, you know, were thinking they had to work for 40 years to hit that retirement number that they needed. And with Bitcoin, it happens much sooner than you think. But you do need to be patient and think on, I mean, really, most people invest on a 10-year time horizon. If you just rewind before crypto, most people were thinking, oh man, if I can just save for the next 20 or 30 years and all this different stuff. And then you get into crypto and they're like, wait, it's been 3 months. How come I'm not retired yet? And it's like, well, you know, you only put in $7.
Happy birthday to all the people in the disco fan. We love seeing people celebrate life here. Now, people asking about Avantis. We covered Avantis. I tried to actually find the chart where I had the lines. Not sure where it was. It was harder to find the spot pair there. I think this is a good time to get Avantis. You know, we did say, you know, just be very careful. You can see a lot of support around this range right here. And I think there's going to be a lot of support around this range right here. I would say there's definitely a chance it's going to hit the bottom of this range. That's 94 cents. Pretty significant drawdown. And there's a slight chance we go down to 80 cents again. But I would say the odds are higher we don't hit 80 cents rather than we do hit 80 cents. But I would still say, you know, roughly a 1 in 4, 1 in 3 chance we do another leg down. But I would be risk on at this point. Risk on. I like this chart here.
Good question here from one of our members. If we hold Arrow on Bitcoin IRA and they have an airdrop, will we get them or do we need to hold on a different wallet? It's a good question.
We'll asked him some of those questions. He worked with Flare, and it depends on
I think they tried to. I think
Yeah,
they
they tried
tried to give the airdrop to the customers, which is different. Like if it's on Coinbase or if it's on many other exchanges, often the exchange keeps those airdrop rewards. But I know in the past, Bitcoin IRA has worked with it to pass those on to their customers. We'll ask, Chris will be here later this month, Chris from Bitcoin IRA, and we'll ask him specifically that question for you, Corey, and get an answer for you.
All right, some quick hits for you folks here. Quick hits. Solana ETFs could happen next week, but record scratch. Government shutdown could throw a wrench in the process. The only thing I actually care about with the government, my crypto ETF. So just throw that on your radar. We've been making all these predictions like this is the deadline for these ETFs. This is the deadlines. Things have maybe have changed. So we need to see that government shutdown, come to a resolution. Also, Cardano teaming up with Near. What? Charles Hoskinson is reposting this. This just kind of dropped here. Ada, Near Intents. I kind of researched what Near Intents are. Near Intents are going to be a little bit of a complicated smart contract process where it's bridging some interoperability, and you write out your intent. Oh, that makes a lot of sense. I want some USDC that's on Base, and I want to swap it over to something on Cardano here. And so you write your intention. I want to swap this to that. You will have smart contracts that essentially bid, and the intent programmability layer will choose the cheap one that works for you. And so Cardano now might be able to interact with 20 plus chains, 100 plus assets. Near Intents working with Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, stable coins, and more. No bridge, AI ready, privacy first, powered by Near Intent. So good job, Near. This makes me more bullish on Near than Cardano, but I would say it's bullish for both.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just on the government shutdown thing. I'll just hit this real quick because you had talked about it in your video. But according to Polymarket, now it's still 50-50. This is early, but U.S. government shutdown now projected to last up to 29 days. So that will be interesting to the point you just made about the ETFs. And also, we might do another government shutdown video because you covered, generally speaking, when the government shuts down, bullish initially, but the longer it goes, the more likely it could be to cause.
Usually around 3-4 days, people are like, wait, should we maybe stop high-fiving the government shutdown? And they're like, yeah, I guess it was a little weird that government shutting down pumped everything. Yeah, what the hell were we thinking? It's not all about the interest rates there. We have Polymarket. So the most likely, most likely explanation is it is going to last for weeks. The markets are saying this is not going to be resolved very quickly. Of course, there is a hang up on healthcare for non-citizens. I'm trying to not be loaded. For the illegals, I'm trying to not be loaded here, folks. So that's
and you say it anyway.
Yeah, well, my last name's Valdez. I get a little leeway. Leeway there.
Funny. No, it is a very. This is why I hate politics, because it's all just stupid politics crap. Now they're trying to, Trump's trying to leverage this as a way to cut spending, in certain areas, and but it's going to mess up our ETFs. That's for dang sure, and it's going to slow down them printing a ton of money. So, I think whenever they do open back up, that's when the printers kick back on. That could. It'd be interesting. That could throw off the timing of the 4-year cycle, and it'd be fascinating if this delays everything 30 days. If that's what causes us to go into 2026.
You know what it's also delaying? This is the last story I got here. U.S. lawmakers want to do a crypto tax loophole, but we might also have to slow this down because of the government shutdown. Just the details on this, it's under $300. So Senate committee is thinking about a tax exemption for transactions under $300. TJ, do you want to guess who the number one champion against this is? Who's the big senator going against this? That does want to tax your under $300 transactions.
Elizabeth Warren?
Gosh darn it, you sure are right. She came in, she claimed looser tax requirements going to aid the money launderers, because I know so many money launderers, especially, you start thinking about like narco terrorism. It's the $300 transactions that we got to worry about.
I can't believe that she's just literally works for the banks and pretends she doesn't. And it's so obvious with all of her policies, with all her screeching that she does about, she's like, oh, no. We need to know under $300 that she's probably the one that's after, short Venmo transactions and trying to stop like Coinbase from giving yield on stable coins. Like, she's probably the same one doing that because, that actually threatens the banks. Banks have a terrible product. And now that there's some competition in there, I thought it was a great video Coinbase made. I don't know if we played it, where they were like, oh, well, that's just like your credit card rewards, right? And they're like, no, that's different. And like, how? Well, no, actually, it is the same.
Yeah. Well, there's a digital currency behind it. Well, folks, that is our show for today. We went a little touching some third rail situations here. So please smash that like button. We don't just say it. It's not just for our convenience. It really does help us out in the algorithm. When we start saying things like, the government is a big scam, maybe, the CIA affiliated Google isn't a big fan of that is all.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, we love you guys. We'll see you guys again soon. Watch tonight's video. We're going to have some good altcoins. We just wanted to take a quick second to shout out our sponsor, Arculus. They are a cold storage hardware wallet, helps you secure all of your digital assets for the future. Just tap this thing to the back of your phone and boom, you're in. We wouldn't be able to do this without them, but also wouldn't be able to do this without you guys, the Disco fam. You've supported us a lot over the years. If you want to support the channel now, just use the code DC20. It gets you 20% off this card. It's the #1 way you can support this channel going forward. Thank you for your support. We'll see you at the top.